So it's 4:17, so we've got 3 minutes till the big. We finally made it to a 4:20. I mean, I think that's been the goal a couple of times, but just
maybe in name.
Lost track of time stuff here and there. So
definitely were here at one point at that time,
yes,
and just didn't
forgot to call it out.
Didn't mark the time,
which seems like a perfectly,
that's normal.
Right thing to do for 4:20 if you're already high that you will have forgotten and has gone by. So we'll wait to do our first bag until that very big minute. And if anybody comes to say hi in between now and 4:20, we'll dedicate this first volcano bag to you. That's what we're still working with here is our volcano. Good old beloved volcano. We've got our cherry slushy. It takes me a lot longer to get through an ounce of weed these days than it used to. Quite a bit longer.
You've already pointed out.
I'm dressed, of course, for the St. Patrick's Day, the big holiday. Yeah. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Yeah, you're totally. I can't pinch you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got a little green accent going on.
Both here celebrating the fighting Irish, the driving out of the snakes. And before we know it, Easter will be here.
Right.
I don't know why I'm grinding this. It's already been ground. I think I'm just doing something with my hands at the moment. Hey, Uninspired! Good to see you, man. I'm...
Whoa.
Let's see, you said your train yesterday was stalled for about an hour and a half because of a car that got messed up and stuck on the tracks. So you had to end up Ubering. A car got, which is a thing I've heard of before. Like the wheels can get, if they're turned slightly, especially if like
if it's old or
yes,
there's a big,
or if like, the railroad track is sort of curving at the time and your car turns its tires, it can get locked in there. I'm very glad Uninspired. Oh, it is 4:20.
I think there's 10 seconds on my watch.
Well, Uninspired, this one's going to you. Let's go ahead and fill her up so it'll be mostly ready by then.
Ding, ding.
Fireworks. If I was smart, I'd have a GIF ready to play. I've got a fart noise, which is just as nice. Yake Snake, good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Uninspired. So, I'm glad it wasn't that the train assumedly got notice in time and was able to stop and not hit said car on train tracks. It is one of those things that does seem miraculous in this modern world that people still get hit by trains unintentionally on car tracks. That I guess it's mostly risky behavior, like I want to prove that I can make it around, but it's not that infrequent that some schmuck gets...
And I guess you're more likely to have your wheels turned if you've been trying to get around the arm that's down.
Right. Oh, I'm not even talking about people getting stuck who are like...
Yes. Or trying to just...
In an Uninspired's case, so like let's say the little crossing bridge arm went down and a car tried to get around. In that case, it is already far too late for the train to stop.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Most people who get hit by trains are, the train doesn't even know they're there because they are trying to get in front of them. A surprising number of people also survive being hit by trains and cars. You would think. I think the train usually has the force of pushing the car, ejecting it forcefully from the tracks. But not so many individual bodies are so lucky. 4:20, here we go.
It's 4:21 on my watch, so...
I am behind schedule.
Which is par for the course with these bags.
Yes. Ooh, Uninspired, how much was that Uber, if you don't mind me asking?
And does Amtrak help give you a rebate on that? Or what? That's wild. That's not how you plan to get to your final destination.
The movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles tells me that it is unlikely he got a refund. He may have gotten an unwanted guest, but...
Yeah. I would imagine, yeah, just the way that, we know Amtrak,
And this was on the train from Southern California to Santa Barbara. So, oh, was that your first? I can't remember. You might have mentioned it earlier, Uninspired. Was that your first Amtrak experience? If so, hell of a way to start. And probably not unemblematic of the Amtrak experience, so I've heard.
wow.
Okay, so you weren't that far. Only $53. That's outside, in the realm of...
That could get us to LAX, so,
I bet right now a ride to LAX would be actually
maybe a little bit. Oh, 'cause I don't
considerably
know.
more than
There's
$50.
like the airport taxes. I think when I went, it was like 65 when I went. I did come back from LAX.
65. That's what, 15% more?
Yeah.
No, 30% more. Sorry.
Then.
Yeah. Yeah, so not insignificant. I mean, the prices of ride shares, while having been going up for, 8 years or so, or a little bit longer than that, since the pandemic, it's one of the things that inflation has really, really taken a bite into.
But it's also just separately the changes in the business model for the millennial lifestyle subsidy.
Right, yes.
I'm totally copping that from, well, I'd heard it before, but it factored into the John Oliver that we watched last night.
Why don't you explain for folks at home what the millennial lifestyle subsidy is or was?
Yeah, was or is. Well, so John Oliver, his great segment yesterday was on food delivery services. And so that is part of it that, when you started ordering from DoorDash and, all these companies, Grubhub, DoorDash, and all the other companies that they pretty much have bought up now because they're in the consolidation era, when you add up the actual cost of the food and then the labor and packaging to get it to you, when you add up the value of that, the value is greater than what those apps are having you pay. And so these things that we millennials like to have in our convenient, tech-driven lifestyle was actually subsidized by these private companies who were, when the cash was flowing, willing to undercut the older model of the business in order to gain all this market share. So they would go on for years or decades, or, well, how old's Uber? Anyway, a long time without making any money. And maybe eventually at some point they start adding the costs back on.
So there are two,
as we see with Uber.
Yeah, then there are two things that I think would be to add to that. One, another factor in the billionaires subsidizing tech products that we all enjoyed in the golden era of like 2012 to 2020, where, Ubers were cheap. You could always get free delivery on any service. All those direct-to-consumer brands with their generous 6 months free, whatever, this, that, and the other. Your Casper mattress that would, if you didn't like it after 6 months, some guy would come to your house and burn it in front of you and hand you all your money back in cash. All of that wasn't just a product of, it was a product of billionaires subsidizing and trying to do something very old school. So like, we think of this as a new flavor of capitalism, but in a lot of ways, it's the oldest model there is. This is not too dissimilar than the Rockefeller Standard Oil model. He very famously would go, and undercut all of the competition in an area selling products at a loss because he's Rockefeller and can afford it, with the idea that he will wait till his competitors go out of business and then he will jack the prices up, so that he could make a nice, healthy profit wherever. And that's essentially what has been going on since like the 2012, that era. Basically the point where you could assume almost everybody had a smartphone. By that point is when this billionaire money came flooding in, everybody trying to do the become an Uber and a Lyft, a monopoly, and so
the Uber for X.
Yeah.
The Lyft for Y.
Right. And so instead of just having a single guy or a single company like Rockefeller and Standard Oil, you would have, the billionaires would be spread out. They'd be called venture capitalists, investor class, and they would all be trying to do this on a smaller scale than Rockefeller. And there's one other thing that portends the end of all of this, other than the fact that most of the easy industries in which to build a monopoly around have already been consolidated, and that is the end of the 0% interest rate era, where you could borrow money for nothing. That same period of time, that exact same period of time, except going back a little bit, even into the financial crisis, there was 0% interest. You could borrow money, literally for free, and people were willing to take a lot more huge risks, subsidize potentially disastrous business adventures when you could borrow money for essentially free. That is definitely no longer the case, and so you'll start seeing, you already have seen, a lot less risky, or even this way of trying to court users by basically just showering them with free shit. Everybody's tightening the pocket strings because it costs money to borrow money now, which is not a world we've lived in for a very long time, but was the way the world existed was the state of the world for many, 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 many years, multiples longer than we experienced it. So we're sort of returning to normal. Thank you for grabbing this. Let's just finish it out. I'm gonna do the whole thing out. I'm gonna leave you.
Uninspired's got a bowl.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, and Uninspired said he's been doing the Amtrak for the last 2 years, and it's only stalled like this once.
Once before.
Gotcha. And maybe the Amtrak on the West Coast is a little better than the... Although you would think that they would have their shit together over there.
I guess it would be way more people using it on the East Coast.
Uninspired, are you ready for that California high-speed rail from Fresno to... Where is it that we...
LA and Vegas?
Not to start. No. That's the disaster.
Bakersfield.
Yeah, I think it's Fresno to Bakersfield is the first...
It's kind of in the plot of Baskets.
Ah, that's right. The Zach Galifianakis. Was that another Louis C.K. co-branded...
Oh, gosh, it might have been. Well, there's definitely a different Louis involved.
Right. God rest his soul? Did Louis Anderson die?
Ooh.
I'm going to say yes.
Wikipedia says was an American actor.
Pour one out for Louis Anderson.
January 21st, 2022.
Louis Anderson played Zach Galifianakis' mother in...
and that's...
Baskets on Netflix.
Two of Zach Galifianakis' twice over Zach Galifianakis' mother.
Really?
Because Zach plays twins in Baskets.
Right.
It's an incredible performance.
He was the host of
Family Feud?
Yeah, Family Feud before everybody's favorite Steve Harvey, I think.
Yeah,
I know him from his cartoon.
Life with Louie.
Amateur Beats Maker, good to see you, man. Another one of our oldest friends. So glad you're here, man. He says, hey, Wheats, how have you been? I've been great. Even better now. Thanks for being here, my friend. Hope all has been well with you over the past year. Underspider says, I have no idea we were actually developing high-speed rail. California's abysmal public transportation destroyed any expectations I had for political stuff like that. Well, Uninspired, you're probably, without even being aware of it, your correct view of California's track record when it comes to public infrastructure projects, especially public transportation, statewide public transportation projects, and think of it as just as a clusterfuck, is not far off the mark. But what is probably somewhat how that's lodged in your brain is due directly to this high-speed rail snafu, fiasco, clusterfuck, train wreck. Well, that's a little on the nose. Pick your metaphor. They have been working on high-speed rail since what year did it actually? I think pre-2000. Like in the aughts, I think maybe is when it was first passed. But through the same forces that destroy so many other promising public works projects in the state, in our city, in the county, in the country, NIMBYism meant that instead of actually being anywhere useful or beneficial or practical, they are starting, and by starting I mean have been being worked on for like 20 years or some stupid shit, the first leg of California's high-speed rail in an area nobody gives a shit about. As I said, Fresno to Bakersfield, I think. Eventually, there is some,
But that's like the middle part to then from Bakersfield you can go LA and Vegas.
Right. As to where it's going north, that is where it's meeting even more, up to once you get to the Bay Area, it's even more got NIMBYs going wild.
Even put it?
But it's the first leg is actually, I don't want to, I'm going to say something crazy. It's actually supposed to happen legitimately soon. Again, there's not a reason to be excited, other than there will be some high-speed rail, but
I think maybe we even, did we as a state vote to approve some increased tax to, help actually make it happen? Maybe, at a time when I voted, say...
Look at those beautiful pictures on the website.
Wow, yeah.
Wow. Oh, guess what, though? If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like, guys, they're looking for a CEO right now. Go ahead and pull up that application for me, if you don't mind. Let's see what... Lead the future of transportation. Become the next CEO of California High-Speed Rail Authority. Let's join them in shaping the nation's first high-speed rail system and transforming California's future. Yeah, how to apply? Go ahead and hit on that for me. We can mail it. We can drop it off. They do need a cover letter. Shit. I hate cover letters. Maybe they don't.
Not only do they need they need both a cover letter and a statement of qualifications, which includes a narrative discussion of your education, training, experience, and skills as it relates to the duties.
Even more amazingly,
how are those separate things?
I do like that they still require 3 professional references, and you better have those phone numbers and email addresses. So, if you're gonna put Jim at GameStop, he better be real, and California is really gonna call them. The quality, the level of this applicant, the idea that they would put a PDF with 3 references that somebody would call is so fucking stupid and laughable.
Wouldn't they? I mean, it would be somebody who would be high profile enough that they would just be able to see they were the CEO of this other thing or this other department of, director of Department of Transportation in some other state, and
this is a salary.
Here's them speaking.
The salary range is really strange.
Yeah,
$444,000 to $457,000. Who's not going to get that extra? What?
13,000.
Which is...
And they do it actually is even more specific.
%? Something like that? Number of cents. It's literally 0.025% difference in pay.
They do have an asterisk on the high range. This range may increase prior to appointment.
If your references are good enough.
Yeah, if your references are good enough, you can get another 0.25% up.
You can go up to $462,000. Ooh. Yeah, if your reference is good enough. If you've got Oprah, the Dalai Lama and Rick Fox.
Well, the Dalai Lama's tricky as a professional reference because you can't list his phone number.
Oh, but you can. Yeah, you're right. But you can reach him other ways, spiritually.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, they definitely want the phone number on this application.
Yeah, you're right. You can't just write enlightened.
So anyways, if anyone's interested, that's at
yes,
HSR, as in high speed rail, hsr.ca.gov. You can go there to apply.
Apply yourselves today. Make sure you've got those reference up to date.
Yeah.
Email addresses and phone numbers.
They're going to be checking. You're going to need the cover letter and the narrative statement of your qualifications.
Yes, yeah.
Those are separate documents.
What they mean to say is your assistant needs to provide for you.
Yeah.
Because anybody working at this level.
You are knocking.
Man, think about, that would be such a great gig, because think about all of the opportunities for future when you are no longer working there, kickbacks.
Ooh.
Oh my God. I think we should apply. We could both apply. Like,
as a team. Oh, like Charlie and Mac.
Charlie and Mac from It's Always Sunny. We're 2 for the price of 1.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah. I think
that's
California, Gavin, if you're out there, give me a call. I know it's not on my resume, but you know how to get in touch.
Yeah.
You know what, Gavin? I'll make it easier on you. My guys will get in touch with your guys, Gavin.
Oh.
Thanks, Gav.
Oh, that sounds so good. Well, we...
I'm going to get through this.
Did you make it through?
Almost. This is the last one.
Focus. I'm not even going to distract you right now. You can't really see that.
It wasn't as impressive as I hoped.
No, yeah. I mean, I can see a little bit of stuff.
She believes me.
I believe you, yeah.
This is the producer, everybody. In case you didn't know, this is our longtime Wheats producer, who has been so gracious and awesome and cool and wonderful as our co-host for like the past week now. I honestly hope she, decides that she wants to stay here, not retreat back to the basement on the wheels in my ear doing the editing and all that. I think this is where she belongs. This is the producer. Yeah. Well, let us know if you you hope that she sticks around too. Anyways, our second bag here. Speaking of producer, one of your newfound responsibilities is dedicating one of these bags. And because I made it here so relatively quickly, only 20 minutes this time.
Yeah.
I think you can give it to us. And you know what? I'm claiming early.
Okay.
Even though it's not mine, no. I'm claiming everyone for later. So you gotta. I'm stealing it.
I think this one should be dedicated to. I'm not gonna say everyone, but I'm gonna do a combo. Sam, 2002. We haven't said hello yet, but glad to see you back. And amateur beatmaker.
Well, thank you for picking those names out. Thanks for hanging out with us, Sam 2002. This bag is going to be for you and our buddy Amateur Beatmaker. And I'm going to take a drink here. I'm going to actually remember to drink as we're going.
Look at this. Look at this.
There are 2 topics on this can that are making me antsy to start talking about. Xbox Game Pass and Starfield, both separate and kind of interrelated.
Okay, sure.
Let's go. Oh yeah, Starfield, everybody's favorite forgotten game of 2023. The game that we all can't believe that we don't remember.
We can't?
Thanks to Baldur's Gate and Zelda and Alan Wake and every other incredible thing, and not the
Oh, was it early in the year?
No, it was September. It was
wow.
after Baldur's Gate. No, before Baldur's Gate, I think. No, after. It just arguably one of the most anticipated video games of all time. Starfield, follow up to Fallout 4 and Skyrim, older Bethesda Game Studios' next game. Instead of, just having one continent on one planet, as in the Elder Scrolls, or even just a couple of cities, as in with Fallout, you were going to have whole planets, whole worlds to explore in Starfield. And I don't think, and also the first time it was going to be an Xbox exclusive, as Bethesda and its parent company snapped up by Microsoft in 2020, I think, ZeniMax. Was that the year? I think so. They bought a lot very recently. And Starfield in no way advanced the Bethesda formula, and it might have gotten away with it. It might have gotten away with making a less interesting Skyrim in space. I think people like that formula so much that they would have tolerated it if it hadn't been in the year it was released. If it had come out 1 year before, people would have a much more favorable view of Starfield. But being on the heels of Zelda and Baldur's Gate, it just felt clunky, antiquated, almost a little like naive. Like, what were they doing? What were they thinking? Like, you can't just put this product out again. So I don't know if it'll be interesting to see what happens with Starfield as the years go on, because these Bethesda games traditionally have these incredibly long legs. There are more people probably playing Skyrim on Steam right now than Starfield, as an indicator of how, yeah.
And then what was there was the other planetary exploration game that got way better.
No Man's Sky, which is the perfect thing to bring up. It is a game, it is the example, if there was if you could look in textbook of like righting the ship, or fulfilling your promise, or making good with people, it would be No Man's Sky, a game that came out in 2016. It had levels of hype unreal. It is a procedurally generated universe, yada, yada, yada. We all know the story, and we all know how that after literally years and years of working on it and updating it, giving it massive updates for free, this tiny little team has basically taken that original concept that everybody hoped it was and did not deliver, and given people what they promised and many, many, many orders of magnitude more than they promised for not a single extra dollar. As far as I'm aware, No Man's Sky, a game that retails for $30, there's no way to give them extra money. I don't think there's like
besides just buying more copies of the game.
Yes, they don't offer skins, they don't offer anything else. Everything else has been free.
Wow,
and then
what a beautiful model.
To endear me to them even more, I know we're still sidestepping a little bit, but
yeah,
they're in VR. You can play it on VR on PC. You can play it on PS1 or PSVR 1. It is also on PSVR 2, one of the few games. And not only that, but they added, just recently, they put in the work to add in what is called dynamic foveated rendering, which is a, very scary sounding term. But the PlayStation VR 2 has eye tracking. It's got little cameras following your eyes around, and it uses those cameras to tell where you're looking at. And our eyes really can only focus on one tiny little percentage of a screen at one time. And all you need to do to make look great is where your eyes are looking at it at any particular second. You can actually really, really let the stuff around, even pretty close to where you are focusing on, get quite blurry and low res, because your eyes won't really detect that difference, because your eyes are moving so fast and so quickly, moving around, looking at different little places, focusing on things. you think you always have things in focus, but you don't. And so you can use that in VR. You can track people's eyes on the screens where they're looking at any given time and make things look a lot blurrier around other than where they are looking at. So you can actually make a very...
They just focus on making the focus look really good.
Yes, and then you don't have to put all the resources and rendering all of that stuff other than what you are exactly looking at. So you can make
Maybe
VR graphics.
What, 10% or 15% of the screen?
Yes.
Versus the whole 100% of it. Not, it's still rendered, but it's just...
You can actually see this as a person. If you ever see somebody or around somebody with a PSVR 2, Gran Turismo 7 has it for sure. The TV will display the image that they are seeing, and because the TV shows the whole image to everybody, you will see what they are looking at exactly, because on the TV screen, which is just showing one eye out of the PSVR 2, it will be blurry except for one, pretty blurry except for one little dot, which is where the person is looking at, because it is blurring everything else out to make it so you can have all of that detail on that one little square. And No Man's Sky added that for its game, and now it looks incredible in PSVR 2 because they don't have to put all those resources to making everything look kind of shitty. Sorry, that was a long answer.
You love to... I mean, we love
a
video game tangent. Just want to... You did show off the can. Sam did ask, what are you drinking? I don't know if it's... I mean, we can see it's Rockstar.
It's Starfield Rockstar Punched. I think it's just Starfield is a sponsor.
It's a co-branding opportunity. But it's the fruit punch.
But I can unlock Game Pass Ultimate points to earn gaming rewards.
Oh.
It's 1 point. This is worth 1 point.
That would be more interesting if I knew how many points it took to unlock anything.
So,
and I smiled when I read this because Sam also asked, do you like Helldivers 2?
Oh man, Helldivers 2. I do. I don't play, I don't have like friends to play online. I mean, I've played it because you can only play it online. I played it on PC, not on my PlayStation actually, but I think it's actually part of its huge success is that is on both, even though it is a Sony first-party game.
I get props. So I heard of it. I read somewhere, like, in a Discord group, somebody talking about it. And then, like, I don't know, 4 days later, you were playing this game, and I could hear, like, you were going out with the troops, and I was like, are you playing Helldivers 2?
She probably heard, freedom!
Yeah.
Democracy!
I'd read a great backstory of how it's like one dungeon master and now there's the whole community that's like, screw you, because they know it's like this one guy working there at their studio.
There's, a lot of meta fiction built up around it already, which I think is pretty fun and interesting. And I actually think it's a really fun game to play if you have a big group that likes to get around to do it. And I really do think that the meta stuff that that they have built / their community has helped to, like, I don't know how much of this was all planned and how much of this is like because people loved it so much and now people are really getting into it, but
it did sound like it was kind of like they were, like, maybe people were winning the game faster than they expected. Maybe. So it was like a rebalancing effort.
I also love the concept of... This is a genius thing to me. Like, they do play on some of this, like, the meta-narrative level they've done. For example, they've added flying enemies into the game, but not everybody gets them. Like, it's rare that you'll see, like, these flying bugs. And the people making the game for the longest time, adamantly denied, including, like, banning people on social forums. Like, no, I definitely saw flying people. And they're like, no, these do not exist. There are no such thing as a flying bug. you're like, but intentionally, because that's the kind of thing that the kind of people would do who are in charge of a fascist government.
It's like the misinformation campaign
yes.
by the...
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of brilliant. Like, they
cool.
built into their little meta narrative, like, oh, we're going to lie to people about what's in there and, like, even try to quash it, even though that is what they want people to do.
That's part of the game.
Yeah. And I think that's really kind of fun.
That is cool.
Yeah. It's not like... I haven't played as much of it as I might like, but I think all that stuff's pretty fun, and I hope they continue to pull it off, and I hope it seems very positive right now. Like, people are really enjoying it, and they're really having fun doing getting into the role-playing of it all. It just seems like at any moment, this is one of those things where it could just turn into this, incessant bitching cesspool of like, fuck the developers, or somebody says something stupid. I just hope it stays this kind of fun, interesting stuff and just doesn't sour like so many things tend to do.
Because the players all have a common enemy.
Yes. 2 common enemies. There's bugs and robots. That's it.
Or AKA, either way, it's the developers.
Yes.
In a sense. But I guess while also knowing that, like, that's what you're getting at, is like, hopefully it stays this like happy, friendly,
yes,
beneficial relationship where they understand that the developers are trying to make it a good game for them.
Yeah, and that the audience at the same time doesn't like start to expect too much or be like, oh, the end game here fucking blows, I need there are not enough cape types or whatever, and that's rude of me to straw man these people or whatever. I mean, sometimes it's legitimate. I know people like to bitch on the internet, but anyways,
no,
I think it's really cool. I think it's really
do that
fun
on the internet.
And I hope it continues. Helldivers, really fascinating. Genre switch from a
their previous game.
Top down. Helldivers 1 was a top down, almost Diablo-like kind of action role-playing game to a very hardcore third-person shooter. This is another fun, there are roguelikes that I can think that deploy this type of storytelling, but outside of those, I can't really think of anything quite like it. In Helldivers, every time you die, you're just a new soldier. So, like, your guys die all the time. You're just getting mowed down. And then, like, you'll come back in and you're like, you have entirely new voice. And it's just like, oh, right, yeah. These people are just being mowed down. The maximum amount of time you're going to, like, play any single person is, if you're good, like 30 minutes. But
wow, okay.
Helldivers don't seem to have a very long lifespan.
When you're diving into hell.
Yeah. You're fighting flying bugs, which apparently now do officially exist.
They do, yeah.
Thank God.
They can't. There's so many, they can't distort that truth anymore.
Yeah.
Amateur Beatmaker has been running Pal World and Tekken 8 recently.
I've heard such good things about Tekken 8. Fighting games generally seem to have gone under this pretty amazing renaissance, but starting with Street Fighter 6 last year, which I haven't played, but I definitely am interested. I've always sucked at fighting games. I just can't memorize and execute that many button presses in a row. It is beyond me and my physical and mental capacities. So the fact that Street Fighter has added the modern control scheme and people not only aren't mocking it, but are also like, oh, this is great and a totally viable way to play. So now, as far as I understand, I've not actually played it, but it really does intrigue me. No longer is a Hadouken, whatever Ryu's basic ass fireball.
Hadouken!
Instead of being maybe 6 inputs, it's maybe 2, and just like, a directional input and a button. More Smash Brothers-y from what I understand. They've really figured out a way to, make it both still feel very much like you are having to react and remember and understand exactly what your character can do and what all of the other characters you're fighting may be able to respond to, but they have gotten rid of all of the just rote memorization and pixel perfect input required to execute all that stuff. So that sounds great to me. I don't think Tekken has that, but everything else I've heard about Tekken, people are really super excited about it. It has never been my fighting game, even though I'm always bad at them, because Tekken, from what I remember, is the most combo heavy of them all. I remember looking at Tekken 3 on the PS1, looking through the manual and seeing some of those guys, moves halfway down the page, and it's 26 inputs, and thinking to myself, what? I don't even know how long is that supposed to take, and how have I not already lost by the time I've managed to get the last one in? I think if it's beyond a quarter roll plus one button, I'm out. So Tekken was never my fighting game because you couldn't really cheese. I was a cheeser. I was great at cheesing.
Not was.
Oh yeah, I still am. Smash Brothers,
we never stopped playing Smash Brothers.
Right. There's a big asterisk next to everything I said, which is Smash Brothers doesn't count because Smash Brothers is no more than one button press and one directional input. And That's maxing out my brain power there. So we have a couple 100 hours in Smash Brothers between the two of us. So I'm so curious.
You're getting accused of letting your bag of smoke.
Thank you. Let me get through this real quick. Amateur Beatmaker, while I am doing this bag, because it is half in your honor, what do you love about Tekken 8? I'm so curious because I have heard people just saying it's the best of the modern recent fighting games, and I'd love to hear what you love about it.
Yeah, that's right. There's also a question from Uninspired.
Yes.
Would you rather have a Galaxy 3 or an Odyssey 2?
Wait, the Odyssey is it the Samsung's headset?
Get up.
If it's the if it's oh wait, the Magnavox. Search Samsung Odyssey 2.
Oh.
It's the Arc. I always knew it as the the Arc. I didn't know it was called the Odyssey. The Arc is Samsung's insane gaming monitor that can be rotated vertically. The thing that makes it so insane, and I've seen it go on sale for, especially the Arc 1, I've seen it as cheap as $1,000 before, and it's been that's interesting. What other than the fact that it's a 55-inch screen computer monitor that can go vertical, its big claim to fame is its insane curve. The number, I forget what the number is. Something.
It'd be like the radius of the arc.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's how they got the name.
And so it feels like you're just totally enveloped in this thing. It's real bizarre looking. I'm going to say that for sure. Uninspired. I think it looks cool. I heard not great things about at least the first one when it came out. Like people saying, it's kind of a gimmick and it's kind of hard to figure out use case scenarios. It still looks real cool to me. And I am so into Apple's ecosystem, it'd be hard to imagine switching over. That being said, Uninspired, I'm going to take your comment, I'm going to punt a little bit and say, I am jealous. My first like real major envy from the iOS camp looking over at Android is I think foldable phones are fascinating and not a gimmick at all. Like I hear so much, like, oh, it's a dumb gimmick. Who actually wants a foldable phone? And I think to myself, what are you talking about? Why would you not want one? I think they're so cool and so useful and so immediately, unlike, a lot of gimmicks, and I'm a gimmick guy. I love gimmicks. If a gimmick is executed perfectly, love it. I have a webcam that tracks you. I love fucking gimmicks. If it works well, I'm a gimmick guy. But I don't actually think it's a gimmick. I think it's just like immediately apparent why you would want a screen that can fold in half. Like, it's just like, obviously.
Yeah.
When I want to read something, when I want to watch a movie, it makes perfect sense.
As long as the line in the middle is not distracting, which they're not anymore.
They've gotten certainly orders of magnitude better, so I am totally jealous of the Samsung Fold crowd and all the other foldables out there. I'm not talking about the flip phone versions either. That I find less appealing. The people who just like, oh, make an old school clamshell style phone. And it's like, no thanks. I want I want an iPad mini that folds into an iPad. An
iPhone. If
your question had been, could I have a Samsung Fold ZX49, whatever the name is, or an Odyssey 2, that would be tough. I'd probably go with a foldable and just use it as like a mini tablet or something. I don't know. I think they're real cool. I can't wait for them to continue to get better and for Apple at some point, 5 years from now, to come out with the iFold and say it's the world's first foldable phone, and everybody will just take them at face value. Wow, they finally did it. They made a phone that folds, and Samsung will be over there like, the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about?
What are we?
Have you guys
Chop suey?
Have you guys seen this Apple? They have a VR headset. I've never seen anything like it. It's called a Vision Pro. They have virtual reality out now that you can buy in stores. Apple's done it again. Never seen anything like it.
Certainly not at that price point.
Heyo!
We have like a 15-minute old flow. I'm very sorry. I hope you're still with us, Mr. Lee Sensei.
Well, Mr. Lee, I'm so sorry we missed you. I got to get through this rest of this bag. So, Mr. Lee, even though this bag wasn't dedicated for you, apologies. I apologize to you. I don't know what else to do with this bag.
Getting through more of it is in honor of you.
Beautiful.
He's waiting for the MetaQuest 5.
The MetaQuest 5. Oh, wow. Mr. Lee
that's
Sensei, might be a while. It was a long gap between Quest 2 and Quest 3. But I'm sure the Quest 5 it'll be the tits. I can't wait. I hope to play with you in 2030. Quest 3, man, I really hate, saying anything nice about Meta, but Quest 3, it is a great device. If you're into VR at all,
did Facebook make hardware before?
No.
So is it still basically we should be, I mean, I know that the Oculus name is dead.
Yeah.
But it's still Oculus engineering, I feel like, right? Or no?
I mean, they have even this branding, this name change is like 2 years old. The Oculus name is everywhere. It's still in the name of their PC software. It's still called the Oculus app. Like when you open the PC version. Like it's insane that they haven't been able to get rid of it everywhere. Like I don't understand. Like
I think I don't know. There's just like I don't know. I've been in a company where there was like a purchase, selling off of a name change of a sector of the company, and then it's like the CEO comes out and it's like, no more of that name ever anywhere. And then, but it's like to go and change the stickers on everything requires, people who are like 5 levels down. And, it's just, it's the execution of like, at some point, who cares? And
there are still parts of Windows today that you can access pretty quickly that have remained unchanged since Windows 95. Like
in the actual code of the operating system?
Yeah, like I think even like some like control panel, like it looks the identical. They just haven't even though they have all these big branding operations and changes, it's like once you get into the guts a little bit too deep, it's like nobody gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
And it should tell you how much Meta cares about the PC version of the VR market right now, that they haven't bothered to change the name of their app.
And it also tells you, maybe even vice versa, the people who would know how to, go in and update the software on that app. It tells you what their opinion is of the Meta part of it. Right. It's a two-way street.
John says that Notepad was practically the same since Windows 1.
Yeah.
And John, excellent comment. I think I read just again, this week, early last week, something like that Notepad is going away.
No!
That they're finally going to kill Notepad in some Windows
push
update.
You to, sticky pad. Wait,
some other,
No!
Notepad is gonna die.
What? Why? It doesn't need to. There's not like it's taking up any space.
They're gonna do the exact same thing that Microsoft did when they killed the iPhone with Windows Phone 8. They're going to have a public funeral.
Did they really do that?
To the Googles. Google iPhone funeral. Windows.
There were some other... Microsoft's held a funeral for the iPhone.
It was the Windows Phone 7 that was going to kill the iPhone. Yeah, that's,
They had a parade with 2 hearses.
That's back in the Steve Ballmer era, I think.
2010.
Woo! I want to do the Ballmer so badly right now. God, what a great guy.
I think you have to finish your bag first.
Yeah. Steve Ballmer, if you're out there, if you're watching with Gavin right now, I don't know what I would say to you, Steve. Invite me to, you own some sports team, we'll talk about it in your box. I've got some ideas. I'll get you back in the game.
That's such a, why, really, kill a Notepad.
Yeah, they're gonna kill Notepad.
We all just have to use sticky notes. I thought it actually, wouldn't you function, no, never mind.
No, say it.
I just felt like there were times that you actually, even as, I usually didn't use Notepad, but, sometimes when, I don't know, dealing with, data, CSVs, converting info, I guess that's all automated in Excel now, but sometimes I would end up in Notepad, as a useful function to deal with those kinds of things.
I mean,
to
often
make sure I had something that was unformatted, right? Wow.
We salute you, Notepad.
Yeah, John Phantom's still using it.
A lot of coders, cried out in horror, I'm sure.
Yeah. So.
All right, I'm gonna kill this bag. Let's do it. This is gonna happen
you've
right
got
right
it.
now.
You've got to do that. We do, yeah. You are going to agree with John Phantom on a different engineering comment. Volcano. Fine German engineering for the price.
John, man of great taste. Yes, it is. It is. I've had mine since 2016.
Wow.
And it's, literally couldn't tell a difference. Has had no problems in its 8 years of service. It was $500 or $550 or something at the time, but I mean, for a weed product, I mean, it's also like it is asking a lot of something. Think about what you're doing. You're like heating some kind of element up to incredibly high temperatures multiple times, letting it get up and down and cooling and giving all that kind of thermal shock, and like it's gonna be next to like tiny powders all the time that could clog shit up and get in things, and you know, weed tech just is not a reliable thing because of all of those things involved, and usually the fact that most of them are made somewhere in Shenzhen for the lowest bidder. It's really insane how well it works, and how I hope to never have to replace it, but I do think they have even fancier models now. I do also have the Mighty, which I've had since 2020. It's their like portable vaporizer that I like a lot, but it is still packed away with all of my other weed stuff to maybe come out sometime in the future.
That'd be a good one to bring out. Just it's very gadgety.
It's got the fun little capsules, the little aluminum packet pods that you pre-fill.
So basically, I mean, you're doing the weed in essentially the same way as the bag, just instead of capturing it all in the bag and having it go.
This is the more uncommon. There are a lot of dry herb vapes out there. And
Okay.
It's like the packs.
Not too different from the packs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think most of them, big dry herb vapes are little things that you heat intermittently. And
was the PAX was a case of like more American engineering, like they were making it look a lot like Apple on the packaging, like designed in California, made in China.
Precisely, yes. Okay. John says that he tried the Volcano for the first time in 2005 in an Amsterdam coffee shop. John, you are a truly man about the world. We learned about John Phantom yesterday, is that he's from the British Virgin Isles.
Yesterday being Saturday.
Was that Saturday?
I think so.
Sorry, John. I think that's right. It's Easter. It's a party weekend. Everything blurs together on Easter.
That was very... Sorry, that was
No, thank you for clarifying.
Picky on my part.
Thank you for clarifying. And now that we know he's been in Amsterdam in 2005, you have a fascinating life, Mr. Phantom, if I can call you that. I think I'd prefer to call you Mr. Phantom than John, if that's okay too, because what a dope name. Is that's the superhero movie from the 90s starring Billy Zane? The Phantom?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I don't know.
He wears purple spandex and has a skull ring. It's the first movie I know Billy Zane from. Everybody's favorite. Oh, there he is. Look at him. God damn. Does he rock that spandex? He's really only the Phantom at night, though. If the Phantom were to be seen during the day, he'd stick out like a goddamn grape.
Oh, boy. Well, I did not know that was a thing.
The Phantom with Billy Zane?
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta update you gotta get on the Zane. We gotta watch the whole Run the Zane catalog.
Oh, there he is. Danny Phantom.
Very different Phantom.
Yeah. Okay.
This is Billy Phantom.
Billy Zane Phantom. Okay. All right.
They do dress similarly, though.
Yeah, they do.
Even if their amount of hair is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite Billy Zane movie? Let us know in the comments. Whoever picks the best Billy Zane movie gets the bag dedicated to them and Billy Zane. Let's pull up his IMDb.
We'll pull up his IMDb.
It's going to be banger after banger, guaranteed. Slam Evil? Yes!
Wait, what?
That's
that's the poster.
Yeah. For the Phantom.
It says Slam Evil.
Billy slamming evil over there.
Wow. Mr. Phantom, it was, I don't see Jennifer Connelly.
In the Phantom?
No, it's, Miss Zeta Jones, right?
I have not seen the Phantom since 1996.
Well, I've never seen it. I'm just looking at that good old different
I could see
different
a Jennifer
Amazon product. What do we Jennifer Connelly's gonna be in
Dark Matter.
Dark Matter.
But that's neither here nor there. All right, a third bag. We're going to do this one for John Phantom, who says his favorite Zane movie was the one on the sailboat, distressed out on the ocean. Yeah, the one with the sailboat. The one...
Sailboat.
And it was distressed. And poor Billy lost all his money. And... oh, God. What a handsome guy. Why are we not looking at Billy Zane anymore?
I'm sorry, I just clicked the wrong thing.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps. He was in Back to the Future Part 2. Who knew?
Nobody us. Nobody here. Nobody us.
Here's a cool thing that's happening as we're talking about Catherine Zeta-Jones. Everybody's favorite Catherine Zeta-Jones movie is Entrapment, the one where she bangs the 90-year-old Sean Connery. And everybody's favorite scene in that, other than the lovemaking scenes, are the ones where Catherine Zeta-Jones dodges around lasers. Like, he makes like the simulation of the thing that they're gonna rob together after banging, and there's like a laser grid that she has to carefully maneuver through so that she can get whatever dumbass MacGuffin to advance the plot. Somebody is working on the quest that we're talking about right now, a game that you can play in your own house that turns your living room into an entrapment style maze that one must have to navigate through, like Catherine Zeta-Jones, in order to get the MacGuffin to advance the plot. But here I think you're just competing for leaderboards. But how cool is that? Because, you've got your depth sensors, and it knows where things are positioned in your room in 3D space, so it can put a laser in between your couch and your coffee table that you'll have to like literally step over as you're looking into your headset. It's pretty neat. Taking the best part of of Entrapment, other than the, I don't know if you actually see Catherine Zeta-Jones and Sean Connery do it, but I saw the movie back then and it still felt weird. They're very different ages, but they are, which is not untrue for her real life lover of Michael Douglas. Now that we're talking about Michael Douglas banging Catherine Zeta-Jones, we've got to move on to something else. We've got our third bag here for John Phantom and Billy Zane. That's right.
Yes.
And he was talking about Dead Calm.
Of course, not
Titanic.
What other movie could we have been thinking of?
Well played, if that was the intention. Maybe we're just stupid, though. That's also a possibility.
Honestly, my favorite Billy Zane movie is Titanic.
Mine too. It's such a great movie.
His IMDb list, it's so long. It goes on forever. There's so many movies, and I've heard of so many, almost zero of them. He appears as himself in Zoolander. I didn't remember that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's just my fault for being forgetful, but
I'm only saying that as it feels like that must be true.
Yeah, it does feel right.
Because he's the most fly individual alive. When you think of cool, suave, handsome, brilliant, sexy, daring, just people that you want to be, people that you have tried to emulate. I'm I can't keep going because getting lost in his eyes. What were you talking about with Billy Zane?
Do your bag.
My bag. Billy Zane, we love you, baby. He's wearing an ascot in the picture we're looking at. Any man who even attempts to wear an ascot gets my admiration. But Billy Zane doesn't wear an ascot. I was going to say the ascot wears him.
But that's usually an insult about it, like not working.
Yeah. Shit. That's the opposite of what I actually want to intend. That ascot...
Well,
that's the best day of that ascot's fucking life. That ascot will never have a better day than that.
You could make a comment on that hat too, I guess.
What is that? Other than douchebag, what is that style of hat called?
I don't know. Here, should we share?
Yeah, just share Billy. Whew.
Yeah, here we go. Here we're gonna go.
Oh, old school style. Maybe we should just replace. I should just do if my mouth wasn't blocking, I could just become Billy Zane. I should just replace my head digitally with Billy's head. If I wouldn't get sued. That does feel like stealing, though.
Yeah. And again, you couldn't... How could you ever be that...
I certainly don't sound like Billy either, yeah. You know what? I think tomorrow I am going to try the ascot. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to see what happens.
I do have some scarves you could try.
It must be an actual ascot. I'm not going to, If you're going to do it, we're going to go to Christian Dior and spend $700 on a piece of fabric that doesn't say scarf, that says ascot.
Okay.
I think. Let's stop talking about ascot. It's one of those words that's lost all meaning now that I've said it so many times. Just, is that what it's called? I want to be. Now I feel very self-conscious. Like.
No, yeah, that is definitely what it's called.
Okay.
Right? Now I'm looking it up. Oh my god.
Oh shit. Well, that looks like a bow tie.
No. I think it's showing where it can be. Yeah, it can be. Yeah. Here you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can tie it different ways. So.
That's one of the great things about the ascot is how versatile it is. That's what I've always said. Like, when I talk about ascots, I'm like, I love the versatility of this garment. It goes, you can really, you can bring something alive with just that piece of fabric if you're clever enough.
Oh my god, it might be a cravat.
Fuck. No. All right, we're trying to find out if this picture was an ascot or a cravat.
No, we're not. We're not trying to figure that out.
We're not. Get me unzoomed in.
Right.
I can't stand this.
Oh boy. There we go.
All right, so let's stop talking about ascots and cravats. Damn it! I forgot there's such a variety of men's neckwear. You just think of the tie
compared to the 0 that you've worn ever.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've always said though, and this is why I feel embarrassed that I didn't immediately think of cravat. I always say like, oh, the cravat is the bow tie of the ascot. I'm always thinking, and I mean it in that very, like I'm throwing some serious shade at the cravat. Like I do mean it as an insult. But I do often say, like, yeah, the cravat is the bow tie of the ascot. Yes. I'm big into men's fashion. I've got drip, which is apparently outdated because it's now Riz, which we talked about recently. Whereas are drip and Riz not the same thing?
I don't know. I mean, they're kind of like interrelated.
Okay.
But
I guess you can have...
I think drip is more specifically fashion, the actual specific things that are dripping off of your neck, say, for example. Whereas Riz is more of a personality thing. But you can see how those could be intertwined.
What percentage of these words will still be said with any frequency other than like...
Seriousness or frequency?
Seriousness other than like referencing or trying to evoke a period of time, like...
in a period piece.
Yeah.
Or...
I think we move through language a lot more quickly. Like we...
I mean, these terms definitely feel pretty disposable.
Right. But I think words used to not be so disposable. Like, when a word was...
what up, dog?
We're still saying, what up, dog? But I'm trying to think of some, like, slang that has been invented and totally discarded in a short amount of time.
Those are hard to think of.
Right. But I would guess that we are, because of the internet and
more of those.
Social media, we are accelerating. Like, a term like chuggy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Are we still saying chuggy? Or has that burned out?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, I guess it wasn't... No, who's saying chuggy still?
I don't think anybody. I think that was a great example of a phrase that seemed like it could be added to, the public lexicon, but has burned itself out. And I think that that's happening more and more frequently because I'm going to finger it pretty much on social media and, language-based trends that accelerate through to its usage. So I don't think we'll be saying things like drip and Riz as much in several years.
Or in that, I mean, maybe even, by the end of the year. In another 9 months.
I do think that we are still actually creating language that is sort of slang type, used as slang, that will stand the test of time, that will be added. And even ones that don't necessarily, you wouldn't think. Like, I actually think the term boomer will stick around for more or less forever as a pejorative. Even as the baby boomers go away, I think it's something that people have really glommed onto as like, okay, boomer, but expanding that, categorizing people as boomers. Karen is another one. Yeah. I think we'll actually keep Karen around, a relatively recent linguistic invention. I do think Karen will stick around.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think things like Riz and Drip are long for this world.
What's the distinction?
It
feels like there aren't other words ready to replace Karen. Like, Karen is just so...
Right, it's
perfectly...
a new concept. It's like, instead of, slightly differentiating between something that we already know, or just creating another word to describe it that we already have a concept for, or words for.
Yeah.
This is like, a new category. And so I think something like that will stick around.
Yeah, Karen is... I think you're right. I immediately, like, anytime I see that name, I have this, like, thought in my head, this reaction that it feels permanent.
Yeah. And I think, thank you for agreeing, but I think it's one of those, and not all of them are. And I think the hit rate is way different than it used to be in terms of, like, this is a fad word that will disappear, and this is something that will stick around, be added to the vocabulary.
Yeah. Mr. Phantom said, we don't say groovy anymore.
Groovy, I'm going to agree with you that
it's dead.
When it's used, it's used intentionally as, like, self-referentially or...
ironic or whatever, like...
Whereas cool, something, from roughly the same era, I think probably a little before, is something that will always exist in some form or format, Outlast, even though they mean ostensibly the same thing. One is something that, will last for forever. Another one is a more of a moment type concept. Although I think Groovy will have a longer impact culturally, if for no other reason than there were just fewer of these things around than something like Riz. Like, Groovy is a thing that you and I know, even though it wasn't something that was really said other than to refer to the era in which it came from.
That was that the
70s.
But maybe also it started in the 60s.
Yes, and I'm sure, it actually, these things last longer than what you think in your head.
Right.
They start earlier and end later. It's just like, it gets pinned to a specific time period.
Yeah.
But I don't think...
And so whenever we hear Groovy now these days, like, us and even generations younger than us would know to, like, think of that time period.
Yes. But
whereas...
I don't think your children, or like, our generation's children's children will have any, if you said Riz...
They're not going to be like, that sounds like the 2020s.
Yeah. I could be totally wrong, and I'm not picking particularly on the word Riz, but just thinking through the concept of how quickly we add and forget about new words and concepts in English now. It means we're several bags deep if we're, this abstract.
This is some, what is, maybe semiotics? Can I accuse you of that? I don't even know what I'm accusing you of, so that's
well, while you're looking that
idea.
Up, Amateur Beatmaker said he got himself a Steam Deck last year. No regrets. Congratulations, Amateur Beatmaker. Steam Deck is... My dog also loves Steam Deck, apparently. Incredible system. I'm curious what you've been playing on yours. Have you been going back playing some classics, or playing some recent stuff? Of course, you have so many things to choose from, which is why the Steam Deck is great. And if you're into emulation, awesome for that as well. But I've been playing a lot of old stuff recently on my Steam Deck, and by old I mean more than 5 years, because all that stuff runs incredibly well on Steam Deck. You don't have to worry about fiddling with settings, but if you want to be brave, you still can run things like Baldur's Gate 3 on there.
Sorry. We never get to see her as much on the stream. I was gonna bring her. She doesn't want to.
She is usually under here.
She wants to be in her cave.
Amateur Beatmaker says he does love emulating on his Steam Deck, which it is the best device in the world for emulation if you want to, just play a lot of things like from the PS2 on down. It's a great device for it. And Amateur Beatmaker ends his comment with, also, RIP to Yuzu. Yuzu is just sued, as in the last 2 or 3 weeks, sued into oblivion. Big giant emulator that could emulate Switch games, which is why Nintendo sued them into oblivion. It's really kind of wild how much it's been scrubbed from the internet, from what I understand. Like, you can still find, a way to download a copy of the most recent version of Yuzu emulator, but it's been pulled off of everything in the big, ways that you used to be able to find it. And I think everybody's real terrified of Nintendo right now. So, as always, like, emulation seems to be this very... Everybody's just kind of agreeing to keep... we're not gonna, if we don't try to make money off of it, if we're not too public in how we advertise this, and we're not too aggressive on how much we're encroaching on recent stuff, we'll just like pretend it's not happening so we don't have to go through the legal headaches. And it seems like Nintendo has finally said enough. And
does it make a difference? Nintendo kind of has their own emulator in console emulation.
Yes, well, it does. I think it does because they can say like, oh, hey, look, a lot of the defense of people who emulate games, in addition to the fact that it has been determined by the U.S. legal system that you can make copies of software that you already own and run your copies off software that you have made copy. You can run your stuff off the copy as long as you still have an original. Now, that was back in like, made for, I don't remember what the medium was, or the media was that the ruling was made for it, whether it was cassettes or VHS or whatever, but been interpreted forward.
Before the internet and letting a bunch of other people play that copy.
And it has also been interpreted that, like, that it's mostly okay to download somebody else's copy of that they can, you don't have to rip that actual copy yourself, do that legwork. As long as you still own the actual copy, there was never anything ruled saying one way or the other, but it's been treated as okay as you could download a copy of a copy, as long as you have an original. Of course, what that means in principle is everybody just uploads everything to the internet and everybody says, of course I have a copy of...
Yeah, I have it.
I have a copy of this unreleased version of this SNES game that never came to existence. I've got a copy on my shelf right now. And what happened, I think, though, with Nintendo, in addition to the fact that they can say, hey, look, we've got emulators, so you can play the software you always want, because the emulators say, look, we're just preserving things, too. That's another part of their defense, is like, you can't play these things anywhere else. Like, the arcade game that have an emulated version of literally doesn't exist. There are 3 versions of this cabinet in existence. There is nowhere else to play this software other than our ability to emulate it. And so that's another one of their defenses. And what probably doomed all of this was Yuzu, the people who are now nuked from orbit, not only had a Switch emulator, which meant there were more than 1 million copies of, I think, Tears of the Kingdom, the big Zelda game from last year, the best game released from last year, downloaded before the game ever released.
Before it released. So they definitely, they were violating those, hey, if you stay behind these sort of lines.
Precisely correct. And the other one that they so brazenly crossed is they had a Patreon that I think made in the 5 figures a month.
They're
making money.
They're charging people for it.
No, it was nominally for the to develop the emulator or whatever. I'm sure somebody was at least taking a salary or something. I don't know. I don't actually know that. So let me just not say anymore.
But there's definitely income being generated.
A huge amount, actually.
Not buy me a coffee level.
Right. Yeah. So that they saw both of those sort of red lines and said,
crossed them both.
I'm gonna take that toe right over it. So, whoopsie-daisy. Now we no longer have Yuzu. All right, I'm gonna finish out this bag.
Semiotics, by the way, is the study of symbols, like logos and other symbols in culture. So it's definitely not. I guess I was just trying to use it as a synonym for linguistics.
That sounds like some Da Vinci Code shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what John Da Vinci Code used to solve who is Jesus' mama. I think that's what that book was about. If you've read the Da Vinci Code, let us know. I think it has something to do with...
I keep on yawning. Sorry.
Well, we are talking about the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
Dan Brown, if you're out there.
You burned.
If you're hanging with Gavin and Steve in your, cult, whatever organization would house those 3 random people. What are you doing watching me, guys? You got more important shit to do. Dan Brown, most importantly, Gavin, you know, you've got some stuff to do. Steve, you really don't have shit to do. Don't lie. But Dan, we need to know what happens next.
We need the 7th sequel to the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. Who, the Sistine Chapel conspiracy. Whoa, damn. Dan, I want to be in the acknowledgements when we see that Sistine Chapel conspiracy. John says he watches set 2. You burned. Oh, which is a great segment. And what we just did to Dan Brown. But we're just teasing Dan. You seem like a nice guy.
And all done in fair use and a flattering sense of copying when we steal that from Seth.
Oh, here's an example of a phrase that has been generated recently that I think will stand the test of time, and we'll tie it right back into Dan Brown afterwards.
Ooh.
Are you ready? Memory hold. I have memory hold. Here, you've memory hold this. Did you know there are 3 Da Vinci Code movies?
No way!
There are 3 of them.
Do they all have Tom Hanks?
I think so.
Do they all have Audrey Tautou?
I don't think so.
She's in the first one, right?
I think that's the only one I've seen.
I don't think I've seen them.
There are 3 of those.
There's 3.
Yes.
Did the 3rd one make any significant money?
I think it must have been a huge bomb. I couldn't tell you when it came out. I can tell you when the other 2 came out, though.
When did the 2nd one come out?
Oh, that's easy. Angels and Demons, watch this, came out May, let's say the 2nd week of May 2009. Maybe the 3rd, let's say the 3rd weekend of May, 2nd weekend of May 2009. Memorial Day weekend 2009. Memorial Day weekend 2009. Memorial Day weekend 2009. Angels and Demons.
Oh, you revised it too much.
God damn it, what was it?
May 15th.
No.
2nd weekend.
Yeah.
You were so right.
Shit. Oh well. Sorry, Dan. I have so many things to apologize to Dan Brown for today.
I guess that's actually the 3rd weekend, because it would be the Friday on the 1st.
I was just...
The Friday on the 8th.
It's
and Friday on the 15th.
Yeah, keep rubbing it in. Oh, shit.
So it was the average of what you said. It was in between the 2nd weekend and Memorial Day.
I'm still right.
It was the 3rd weekend. 2009. You're so right.
Angels and Demons. In that one, Ewan McGregor blows up a nuclear bomb.
It's got 2 of my favorite character actors.
Oh, Mr. Skarsgård.
Baron von Harkonnen.
Yeah, that big old Tubbsy Harkonnen, and who's the other one?
David Pascasi.
Oh, the husband of the Veep.
The husband of the Veep.
Celine's husband and Veep. All right, this bag, let's finish it out. Let's do a blinker.
Selena's ex.
Yes, before the voice totally gives out here. Now, don't ask me when the next one came out, which I can't... What is it called? Inferno? Is it... I have no idea.
3rd Dan Brown movie. That'll give me it, right? Wow, that's so much later.
When is it? 2016. Holy shit.
A whole 10 years after the original.
Yeah, I would have guessed like 2012 or something. God damn. Wow, yeah. See what I'm talking about? Memory hole? That's a memory holing. We've all memory holed a 3rd godforsaken Dan Brown novel turned into a Tom Hanks movie. Is it still directed by Ron Howard?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ron Howard. What were you doing, Ron Howard? How the Mighty Have Fallen. That's the man who directed The Grinch. That's the man who directed The Grinch. How far you can fall. You can have humble beginnings with shit like Apollo 13. And then you can experience a career. I mean, Hollywood's total zenith with Dr. Seuss's The Grinch with Jim Carrey. And it's just all downhill from there. Oh, all right.
Boy.
Let's do this banger. Blinker.
ABM's gotta go.
Yes. It's been nice hanging out with everybody. We'll probably be a little bit earlier in the future, maybe. We'll come up with a more definite schedule.
We're still running towards equilibrium.
That was a great phrase. I don't know what it means, but...
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to be running towards equilibrium. And we'll see you tomorrow.
And the homeostasis right now is to click in stream.
You have a variety of ways of doing it, and you can hit that one button,
Just hit the
or
button.
you can hit that one down there in the corner.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at. All right.
It's a
Anyways,
good one. You picked the right one.
Homeostasis.